Hi everyone, we are here in the fifth session of our BPM course. In this session, we want talking about BPM and we learned about how we can distinguish task and activity in our process identification method session, and we learn about process architecture, prioritizing processes. Now we should learn how we can design processes by BPMn. In this session, we will know about BPMn, why BPMn, and some notation, actually frequent notation, not all of them. But we can design processes by these notation. Let's dive in to our course. At the first, you should know a bit more about BPMn, history of BPMn, and why BPM and how can it help us. And the next, we will learn about the notations. The first, graphic symbols for visualize business processes. We want to convert our talking or writing to a picture. So we need a standard to help us to convert this issue to a picture, to a image that all of them can understood, actually provide a common language between us. The BPMN released by OMG, as you know, OMG, I guess more than 500 companies, software companies, and etc. are member of OMG. And BPMN has a maximum support by modeling tools. Modeling tools like Visio, like Visual Paradigm, like Camunda, like APN, like SAP Sigma View, and most of process modeling tools support BPMN. It's a very good advantage for us, and you should know that most of process analysts use BPMN standard for process modeling. It's very comprehensive and it's very perfect for designing processes and can provide common language for reflecting precise and detailed process point. It's very important for us because when we want to translate business rule actually to IT solution, we need a standard and help us to translate truly and precise and very and sometimes we need detail, sometimes we need business rule. BPM can help us to display and demonstrate everything that we do in our work by a picture, by a photo, by picture actually, and can help us to create a common language between all of us, stakeholder, process owners, or others in our company. BPMN can be bridging between the business and IT worlds. As I said, by designing process, we can talk with IT man, actually implementer and developer, because they can understood when we design process. For example, well, what's the meaning of circle, what's the meaning of rectangle, what's the meaning of all of them, and after that they can develop software. Just we need to attach some more information inside of IT to our process diagram. But what's the model? Model of representative of maps of phenomena, realities, events, and concepts that and concepts. Everything that happens around us and we are doing should be illustrated in the process model. Just consider, I'm talking about L5, level 5, when we are designing process in task level, not other levels, and after that we want to systemize and mechanization of our process model by IT solution. So we need design the model with all of things that happen around us. Consider that now we are talking about just a model, not process model. They are simplified by removing details, extra details actually, and components that are not important. It's very important when we are in interviewing special, we prevent extra information, and we should manage our meeting and get just useful information, everything that is important for us, everything that we want to control them, and we can create some actually KPIs or indicator for measuring this. And it's important for us to know about how the work is are doing or other thing. Also, the relationship between component closely resemble the original to the extent possible. So the model can illustrate to us the relationship between some components, and in process model we determine relationship between roles and their task, and business roles and events. We determine all of relationship between these elements actually and notations. The size and relative importance of components also closely resemble the original to extent possible. Consider closely resemble. It's very important for us that when we are designing a special model or process model, we finish our job by by illustrating, by displaying a good imaging of how the process convert input to output, task by task, and determine any role clearly in our process model. But what's process model? Process modeling actually is a modeling the sequence of, consider the sequence. If you don't know about the process definition, you must to watch our video about the BPM and process definition. What's the process and BPM? It's very important to know. One of our condition is sequence. It's very important. One of 5 condition is sequence. Modeling the sequence of business activity and the associate information. Now we add something, associate information. We should determine, for example, when the task or activity or doing, which form we need to fill, or which data, which information we want to convert, we want to change, we want to update, we want to create. It means create actually. And lead to and who want responsible for process modeling? Process analyst. Process analyst creates a process model. Process owner should confirm, and another one should approve our process model. We will talk about that in our next section actually, when we want to complete our profile ID. To extract existing and desired process and and display them. Now consider the first step is here. We should design as is process existing and exactly existing. When we are interviewing, when we are to designing the process, we want to improve something, we want to remove some extra activity or limited something, but you should know that the first step is designing existing, the means is as is process. After that, desire process, that means to be process. It's very important for us, and because at the at implementing the process or after the analyze the process, we can display the gap between as is and to be processes, and how we want, how much or how many value we are creating for our company. We can predict by just respect these rules. Here is history of BPM, and I want to skip this slide. You can pause and read something or search about that, because I want to our course be a practical, so I want to dive into BPMn and talk about the notation, how we can design processes. And as you understood, I want to skip some theoretical issue because you can reach theoretical issue. Just it's important for us to know the purpose of BPMn. Why BPMn? And we will talk about the difference between BPMn and flowcharts and other standards because it's important for us, and we should believe that BPMn is the best choice for us for process modeling. BPMn can create a common language between different stakeholders. We are different stakeholders and different rules in our processes. We need to create common language between us. Also, we need to create consensus between us, as we can see here, consensus on symbols and consensus between the stakeholders and rules and responsibility that are working through the processes. BPMn can help us to visualize business processes. It's job of BPMn. Isn't simplicity by BPMn, which we should convert complex processes to simple processes, and should be clear also at the same time. And also, we don't skip details or the information that's important for us. You should be careful about that. Modeling and implementation language. As I said, most of tools actually run BPM, support BPMn, and know how BPMn can work. Let us something to you. For example, I want to show you one very important. Here, for example, I'm designing process. Start, task, gateway. Be familiar in this session about that. Task, here end, here, for example, another task, and this is very simple. It's not important. What I design the processes. What the tools can help, how the tools can help us by converting this notation to some program, some code. Let's see backend of this. Here we can see here is where I'm like a programmer. I develop a software, but I didn't do. I just design processes. We will be familiar about that in our session. So, BPMn can help us to modeling processes and implement processes because of their language. Limit diversity of symbols because it's a standard. When we are talking about event, we know that we face with a circle. Various type of circles, know what is circle. When we are talking about duties and activities, we're facing with rectangle. Oh? And high usability of symbols and is very actually comprehensive. Anything that you want to display in your business for IT, you can design in by BPMn. Consequence on the symbol and also process complexity with simple symbol. When you're familiar with a notation of BPMn, you can understand that it's very easy how you want to read your process diagram. And also, it's very easy to all of your employees, not just as a process analyst. Everyone in your organization can read process diagrams because the symbol is very simple. And what is very important, how we can use. Here is BPMn poster. You can see there are more than 100 notation here, but don't worry. you should familiar in your BPM journey. In this session, we will familiar with frequent notation, and we will be able to designing a process at the end of our session. And we have a simple practice for us. That's better that we do that. But what's different between the BPMn and flowchart? BPMn is a business-centric approach. As you can understand from the name of business process modeling and notation, it's talking about the business, talking about business processes, and we want to design, we want to model the business processes, standard symbols and level of detail. When we are designing and modeling the processes, we can design and model processes in 2 or 3 levels related to our reference or framework that you need to know about that. Let me review our level of actually processes. Highest level is business area, and the 2 is process group. Third is process. This 3 level is for process architecture. Talk about our previous session. Now we are talking about the process modeling in 2 level, activity and task. Activity and task. And when you want to implement processes by BPM and tools, and you want to will have a software or startup or solutions or system, or you want to mechanization the processes. It's better to modeling processes in 5 level task, but it's very hard because of implementation issue. And most of company there are modeling process in level 3 or level 4, but level 5 really is better than, because we can control anything and we can be in a high flexibility in our environment, our challenging environment actually. The support for business rule and event. There are some notation in BPMn can help you to display events and business rule in your process model. We are familiar about that. Process execution, we talk about that, and extensibility. When extensibility is the most important other difference between BPM and other flowchart, or more comprehensive. As you see, and I said, there are more than 100 notations in BPM, and it's very comprehensive and help us to display everything that will happen in our organization and that we are doing in our organization. And it's a standard approach. Now we're diving to notation. The first step is here. We should familiar with main element in each category of BPMn. The first category is flow object. Flow object showing by event, activity, gateway. Event is display for a start and, or when we are changing the path of process through the processes. Activity can help us to show duties and activities, and the gateway can help us to show some business rule, or when sometimes through processes, probably 2 or some activity. There aren't any sequential between them. We need to use another notation. Some type of gateway can help us. As I said, we should know the transition data and information through the processes, or we talk about how we want to fill a form in a special task. Data can help us, and it consists of data object, data input, data output, data store. Now we need to connect this element to each other. Yes, we want to use connecting object like sequence flow, message flow association, or data association. Also, we need to display the boundary of our processes. We need to use pool. And as I said, we should display the rule, the rule each rule of that work among the processes. We should use lane. Pool and lane help us to create boundary of processes, boundary for each rules, yeah? And help us to create a high clearly situation for our organization. An articraft for creating groups, sometimes some activity or task create a group and is for a special for purpose, or we want to write something, note something, extra information about a task, we can use text annotation. The first step, we want to familiar with events. Event is not an activity. You can uh, when we were talking about we are talking about the happenings, not doing. Cool. Okay. For example, we will familiar with some type of event. The first type is a start event. A start event motivate the process, lead to a start the process. Without a start, any processes can't be started. The first type of a start is timer. It means the process will be a start in a special and is exactly time. For example, uh, tax. At the end of each month, for example, the organization should pay tax to tax organization of your country. You need a special time. Or you want to, about, for example, employee performance evaluation. In each 3 months, you need to determine exact time, and when time arrive, the process will be a start. The process is depend of us. The process will be a start just when time arrived. If the process should be start by also, we should know just this type of a start without any type. Without any type. And the next is message. Process will be a start by getting some letter, for example, or sometime the governance declare changing or creating new rule can affect to our business, and we should start some processes. This type of a start is related to, or sometimes we get a message from end of another processes. This message lead to a start and a new processes. Processes are connect to each other. This connection can be by message or link. We don't want to talk about the link here. Just two type of events we will touch. So the start lead to start processes can be without type here, or timer. It means by a special time, when time arrive the process will be a start, or message where we receive a message, or like letters or changing rules in governance, or from another processes or other processes, the process will be a start. But what about end? Uh, can be when the process was finished. We need to show how process was finished. This element can help us to show that here process was finished. One kind of end is message. This means we will send message to another processes, or another pool probably. When the process finish, we send a message. For example, you request to give items from your warehouse, but the item, but reasons the item in your warehouse was finished. So you need to buy. Here, probably your purchasing agent or warehouse specialist should need to request for purchasing. But our previous process request goods or item from warehouse was finished. This process send message to next one, for ordering our goods or item. Here we should display the end by message. Okay. The next is terminate, a special end that can help us. When we face this terminate, this means that all of passing processes should be stopped. When we are starting the process and when we face gateway, we are different paths for finishing the processes. But if the type of end is message or is without any type, and the process are in some different ways, for example in 3 different ways, here probably can be finished by message, here can be probably finished by without type, but here are doing some other activity. The terminate means when the process will finish by terminate end, all of us should be stopped, finished. That's all. And all of us must be actually finished. The next is intermediate event. Consider we talked about a start and end event. A start and end event. Input a start, some task and some notation, and after that end event. Here is process finish. Is boundary of our process. But what about intermediate event? Sometimes through the process something will happen, not some activity, not some task. I said it happen, it's an event. We should use intermediate event. One kind of intermediate event is timer. Timer help us to delay between 2 tasks, create delay between 2 tasks, or deadline on a task. For example, we want to finish this task in 2 hours. We can use a timer on the boundary of our task. Or when we want to, for example, we are in product line, now we are glow something, and after that we need to delay 2 hours because the glow or should be hard, and after that continue our production. Here the timer between 2 tasks can help us. So if timer is between 2 tasks, this means delay. It's on boundary of a task. This means deadline, and you should display if this task, for example, as I said, this task should be finished in 2 hours. If not, what will happen? And it creates another pass. Or message. For example, we are in purchasing and we need to send something to supplier. Supplier is our out of organization and we can't connect in our lane. We'll talk about pull and lane. We want to send a form, send our request, or send our invoice to customer through the processes, not end of the process. If end of the process, we need this message end. Among the processes, we should use message. We will send a message and we will receive a message. It will fulfill. Okay, it's enough for event. Now we know how we can start process, how we can finish the process by starting event or ending event, and if through the processes something happen, we can use intermediate event. It's enough for event. But what about pool and lane? Pool and lane can help us to create a boundary. We will talk about pool. Pool help us to create a boundary for our processes. For our process. But we know our process can be in relationship with other processes. For example, we talk about requests from warehouse, and this process will finish, another process should be start. How we can display that? And the first you should know, this boundary is representative of your processes that you are designing. If you know you need to connect to other processes, create relationship, you can use another pool. You can use another pool. And you should, here in your sheet, in your designing page or your software, display each lane that work in your special process, not other processes that you are engaged or connect to other process. For example, you are in purchasing. Here you should need, you are purchasing. You should write the name of your process, determine each rule of your organization here, and their task here. If you need to connect to other processes, you can connect to another pool. We will talk about white and black box pool in next slide. Just consider the concept of pool and lane. Pool is representative boundary of process. So you have a start, you have an end in each pool. Can be more than one. And also the pool divided to some lane. Lane is representative rules in your organization. Purchasing agents, requester, purchasing manager, or other lanes. Each pool is representative of processes and include a start and ends, and will be divided to some lane that each lane is representative, each rule that will be worked through that processes, just through that processes should be worked. But how we can connect to other pools? Here we can see this pool have a start, end, and some task among that. It's just a simple example that I downloaded by search from Google. I didn't permission to show my project to you, unfortunately. And here is connect to other. For example, you are a bank and I'm your client, your customer out of your organization. I want to open an account. I'm here. And you give me some accessible to fill some form. So you know what is my task. My task is complete the form, send some documents. Okay. We use white box pool when we want to know another pool is that out of our organization what they should do, or we want to control their task. We want to control their task. So here is important point. We will talk about pool and lane. The pool is representative of process boundary and representative of organization boundary. We connect to many of people in out of organization like client, supplier, etc. We can display to our process model by another pool that it can be white or black. If we want to control the task and create cart tab and access to our software, we should determine their task. If not, we can use black box pool. Here is black box tools. We know what is our process, what is our role, but not important how or by which task they want to do. It can be a supplier. It can be a supplier in our purchasing. We will send our invoice, we'll send our request, and we receive just that. Like you, just send. It's not important for us how they want or they want to do it. Now we're familiar and pull and lane. Pool is representative of process that will divide it to some rule. That rule is representative of each rule. This process probably can be connected to others out of our organization or uh, create connection relationship with another or other processes. We can display with another pool. This pool can be wide if we want to control their task and we want to create access to our software or systems, and can be black box pools when it's not important for us, or we are to displaying another relationship with another processes. The next is activity. Activity is for displaying our duties. Actually, we will familiar with four type of activity here. User task like when we are a carta, when we are doing something in our software, in our solution, in our by PC, by laptop, yeah. Not for example using Excel or some special software. For example, engineering use AutoCAD, use CATIA, use SolidWorks, or use MSP. Not when we are filling form in our organizational software, actually in our ERP, for example. Yeah, this task can help us know when we're designing the processes. We will determine the type of task. This type can help us to know that the tasks are doing in a software, in an organizational software, ERP. This task is mechanization, or this information give us. But some task is manual. For example, you are in production line, something should be repaired, but by hand, doing by hand. It's not possible doing in your system, or in your organization there isn't any software to use for doing this task, and can be developed or create software for doing. But at the moment, you are doing by your hand, well, in your paper or in your Excel file or other thing. But you don't use, or you didn't use a software for doing this task. It's a manual task. User task means you are doing something in your organizational software like ERPs. Manual task is a task that are using by your manual out of actually organizational software. Can be by hand like preparation or using Excel files. Service tasks. We talk about that BPM can help us to create integration. And you imagine that we are using some financial software in our organization. Nowadays, and after we designing purchasing, we want to connect purchasing to our financial software. Service task can help us. Service task means that you connect two software or system to each other, connect to each other. Help you to insert or read data and other things like that. Create integration between software. Create integration between software. Can pass data or give data, insert data, read data from another software, from another software. And a script has, that means everything that you can formulate it. For example, you want to uh, calculate the tax for the tax in your invoice is a special form. You should, for example, add extra 90% in your invoice. It's a specific formula, A plus B, for example. We can use a script task. So user task, everything that we are doing in our organizational software like ERP, if we are doing in out of organizational software or by a manual like preparation, we can use manual tasks. If we want to create integration and connection between two software, we can use service tasks. If there is a specific formula like A plus B or complex formula, we can use a script task. The next is sub-process. Sometimes we, because we want to streamline and simplify our processes, we use sub-process. We use sub-process. Or sometimes we are doing something in our process that some activity are repetitive, like pay. When we want to purchase something, we will pay. In our contract, probably we will pay. In we will, for payroll, we will pay. Pay is a specific and separate process that we call this process through our processes. This means is a reusable process. So the sub-process is a process that we call among our processes. Partially relatively independent elements of a process, also reducing process complexity. It's two main reasons we use sub-process. And one kind of sub-process is reusable. It's very common and frequent for the we use to our process modeling. So when we want to simplify, decrease, reducing complexity in our process, we can use we can use sub-process, or sometimes uh, through our processes, among our processes, we need to use another process, and after that continue, like purchasing. When we are purchasing, we send our request to suppliers, supplier send us invoice, we should pay, and after that we can receive our items and goods. We can use sub process here. Gateway can help us to show display, for example, business rule. We will familiar with four kind of gateway. Exclusive gateway. Exclusive gateway means when we are let me show one software after this slide. Gateway, the exclusive gateway, for example, you send a request to your manager for something, for loan, for leave, you want to be absent tomorrow or anything. They decided and answer you yes or no. Or for example, you request for loan, for example, for 50,000, but he answer you, you should revise. We can allocate it to you to 20,000. Yeah? But one of them must be happen after that. When the process receive here, after that, just one pass can be happened. Just one pass can be happened. But parallel, this gateway is very different. All of them must be happen. When the process receive here, after that, all of pass must be happened. For example, we want to go a mission and the HR or other rules should be book a hotel and buy ticket for you. Both should be happen. So you should use parallel. Is reverse of each other. But here, exclusive. Exclusive is both of them together. Is both of them together. It can be happen one way or more. At least one way after this gateway should be happen. At least one way. But what can be happen one way or more. Here, consider here just one way can be happen. Here all of them. Here one or more. At least one. But what's this? Event-based gateway. After this gateway, we face with some intermediate event. Can you remember with 2 cycles? And we talk about timer. Yes, deadline and delay. Yeah, delay between 2 processes, deadline and the boundary. After that, we face some event. Every event, if happen, this path should be active. This path should be active. And the next is here. Now, we can connect this notation to each other. When we are in a pool, in a boundary of our process, we should use sequence follow. If we want to go to another pool, talk between 2 pools, we should use message follow. And if we want to connect some extra information, artifact actually, or data object to our task, we can use association. 3 kind of is enough for us in this step. Sequence flow means that we are through our processes and we are in boundary of our processes. When we want to go out of boundary to another pool, we use message flow. And in boundary of process, when we want to use extra information and artifact and data object, data store, other things, we can use association. Now, before our example, let me show something in software to you. We talk about pool. We should write here process name. It's very better. And here rule. For example, rule 2, rule 3. Boundary of process, each rule. Now we want to start our process. We use a start and we activity or task. After that activity or task, after that can be a gateway. After that, here another activity. Here, for example, another activity. We can finish process here. Here is just example. And let me another activity and end here, and can be a, for example, message. Just a simple. We should determine pool, rule. This activity should be done, do by this rule. Any rule are doing any activity that or task that are in lane. If I put here task 4 should be done by rule 2. If I put here task 4 should be done by this rule. So each rule are doing everything that is allocated to them. Now let me show something about gateway. The first, I want to use animate. play the token, move. Here consider the token received here. Just one way can be active after that. Just one way. Consider. Exclusive, yeah? Now I want to change the type of this gateway to parallel. Now play. Now consider after that two token create. See, two token create. And both path active. Both path active is very important, yeah? Now we want to create another pool here. Oh. Okay. Another pool. We said this pool can be black box or other thing. Here, for example, is a pool that we have white box. We want to connect to another pool. We use sequence flow among our boundary sequence flow. Now I will delete it. I want to connect it to another pool. Zoom in. It will be message, for example, that I want to send to, for example, supplier. Field. Let me use black box. Now I want to connect. We should use message flow. Message flow. Send something. After that we will receive. Here means receive. Again message flow. We should put display after this what will happen our processes, so we connect to each other, and the next task should be run. Now see, here is our process. I'll create a black box pool. It's, for example, supplier. We send something, we received something. It's extra. Oh, sorry. Okay, send and receive. And here is message. Message, what we should do, we should connect to another pool, for example, process to pay, for example. And black box, we will send here, for example, in voice. We use and we want as a send message. For example, I want to create a deadline here. We use a timer. Watch here. Timer. 1 day. If this role 2, didn't do, don't do in one day, what should be happen? We should determine. It means approve. It means approve. Also, we should determine what's this idea. Approve, for example, reject. Now let's to review our exercise. It's here process scenario. You imagine that you interview with someone, write some note, and I save this time for you, and I write scenario for you. Request goods from warehouse. Requester, what requester? Rule, first rule. So we should write here, for example, requester. But what's the name of process? Requesting goods, for example. We should write here requesting goods. Well, what they do, register something, request for something. Here we should write request, for example, for goods. And exactly register request for goods. Then what's the next step? Manager. We should write here manager. What they should do? Examine the request. So we should write here examine request for goods. What's the next? He decided about that. Reject, approve. If reject, which way? Each approve, which way? You should determine each. Approve, we should determine here. What the next? Next rule is here. Next rule is here. What's their duty? You should determine their duties, their tasks. And you should create rule, task, up to n. Please do this exercise and send to us. I will send to you the answer. Also, we explain about your mistake. We should learn about our mistake. It's very important that we are trying to doing. The mistake is part of our learning path and help us to learn faster and better and deeper. So just do it and learn more. In the next session, we will talk about KPIs because we want to prepare ourselves for creating profile ID. Profile ID is another document that is very important for more helps us to manage and control the processes and help you to measure and evaluate your process performance. I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any question, write in comment. Also, please send us the exercise. We will wait for your answer. Bye bye.